Shalom. Following the show, welcome again to the Rock. We just got out of this cold, cyclone storm and froze everything up in Buffalo, New York. They had looting taking place. People running up in the stores and jacking shit and kicking windows in and taking food and taking provisions and because they didn't have what they needed. And my problem today is that in this faith right now, we have people that suffered in this storm. They weren't prepared. They'll post up all the stuff on YouTube, and they'll post up all the stuff on Facebook, about how great this is and how Yah's blessed them. But they didn't have the provisions. They didn't have water, and now they're suffering. They are literally suffering with all the people that are unprepared. I'm trying to figure out how and why. Why is not these churches today? Why are not these congregations, these assemblies, why are they not teaching, especially in this faith, why are they not teaching you how to get ready for things like this? Why have they not taught you to have a week's worth of water stored up? You can do that in your little apartment. Why are they not told you to have a month worth of food stored up? Why are they not told you how to keep warm? Why have they not told you these things? Why are they still sitting there arguing about trying to tell you that they're the real church and they're the real ministry and they're the real assembly and everybody else out there is fake? But your ass right now is sitting there freezing. People lost electricity. Why have they not told you different means and different ways for you to have it? Sure, it's one thing to tell you, come out of here, come out of here, come out of here, come out of here, come out. That's one thing, great. But where are the literal answers? And why are you faking it to make it? Why are you giving the facade? Some of these people right now can't even watch this video because they don't have electricity. Some of them right now don't know how they're going to keep warm. Some of them right now didn't have the right socks to wear. Some of them right now probably put water in your radiator, and now your radiator's busted and your engine block is cracked because the water expanded. People are suffering from broken pipes. Some people are literally suffering from a lack of water because their water froze, their pipes froze, their pipes burst. The water that they had stored up, they kept on their balcony, that turned as hard as a rock, and they don't know how to thaw the water out because they don't have electricity and they rely on electricity for warmth. So while all this is happening, people are still out there trying to give the facade that everything's great. Oh, let me post this verse up and that. How come you're trying to save others when you have not even shown the capability, the awareness to save yourself both physically and in the name of Yeshua? Everybody's running out there and talking about they're saved in the name of Yeshua, but they have a family. Men have families and are completely incapable of giving their family those things that they are going to need, like water, like food, like medical equipment, natural herbal remedies. They don't have any of this stuff, but they're always talking about how great they are. It's amazing how many in the faith are suffering the same way those that are not in the faith are suffering. The same people that you're calling wicked, the same people that you're a heathen, this, that, and you're calling them those things, and you're suffering the exact same way they are. Why? And how was this an example of what we were supposed to be? Being a light to the world is kind of hard when you're suffering the same way the world is. It's kind of hard to be a light when you don't have a lighter or a candle to light. You can't even keep your own self warm talking about you a light. You can't even see talking about you're a light. There is no way, no reason that this should have happened. That people literally are freezing in their house. Literally freezing in their house. I know that 20-something people died in Buffalo, and all over this nation, people died in their, houses. People got in their cars and died, and people were relegated to going to, high school gymnasiums, so the high school gymnasium would keep it warm. These things that, as a people who are supposed to be prepared, who are supposed to have the foresight, who are supposed to, Yah gave us the wisdom. It's sad that you don't see that wisdom in action. You don't see that applied knowledge. Doing is not just reading the Bible and memorizing a bunch of verses and being able to twist and contort your message. It's about doing what you read. That's one of the things that our ancient ancestors did. Israel, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. When you go on from there, they understood something and they did it. I was reading 1 Samuel, and it talked about how Samuel didn't know Yah at the time when Yah was coming to him and calling him. The 3 times that he called him. Read that. I think it's 1 Samuel 3 or 1 Samuel 3 or 4. It says that he didn't know Yah. And then Eli had to tell him, hey, after the 3rd time, the next time you hear that, tell him, here I am, Yah. But our ancient people did what they knew. Today, we know a whole lot and don't do shit with it. We read a whole lot of scriptures and it's almost like we puff ourselves up to the point in our arrogance that we think we have the answer, and yet we are unable to simply complete the simple tasks that the Bible has. Preparedness, food storage, things like that are very easy. The prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself. The foolish one passes on past all the warnings and punished. I'm going to end this with this video with this. I was talking to the sisters yesterday, and I was telling them about how we as people, we understand the complexities of life, but not the simplicities that is in life or in Messiah. So I was telling them, an analytical math class I was taking in college, really advanced math. The teacher had, the professor had it was a very, very hard, very, very hard test. But in the test, they said that they were going to throw up 4 questions that were really, really easy for us to just get bonus points. And out of the class, 2 out of 60 people got the questions right. The 4 of them, and I was one of them. And if I remember, the 4 questions were this. We're in analytical math. This is some advanced math. But the questions were this. If you were driving 60 miles an hour in a vehicle, how many miles did you travel in an hour? Most of the people, less than 20% or less than 40% of the people got that question right. How about this one? How many quarts are there in a gallon? If it's a quarter past an hour, how many minutes is that quarter? And then the last question is, he gave 4 different pictures. And in each picture, there were, random assortment of quarters and nickels and dimes and pennies. And you had to, there's A, B, C, or D, and which one was the most, out of the 4 pictures. And only 2 people in the class got those right. You want to know why? We had gotten so good, and again, pretty sure I was one of them, but we had gotten so good at doing completely, critical, analytical, statistical, finding, standard deviancies. We had become so advanced in our knowledge of math that we forgot the simplicities. Like, if you're traveling 60 miles an hour, how many miles do you travel an hour? We didn't know that. Most of the class didn't know that. And I find that same thing in the Bible today. So many people have learned the complex things. They don't know what to do with it. They just learn it. But the things that they can do, the things that they can use, they don't use them anymore. There were people with the 4 pictures of the pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters who thought that the penny was the dime because the dime in the picture was smaller. So they were accounting the penny as a 10-cent value and the dime as a 1-cent value. But they still knew what a nickel was. And the nickel, it's the confusion. Why is it that we, with all this that we saw, why is it that we weren't ready for what came? Why is it that we were not ready, that people in this faith suffered? We got all the complexities down of life, and we know how to break down the word. But the simplicities, the things that you can understand and do, you're not doing. You're not getting yourself ready in the simplest form. But you're wrestling and fighting things that in reality are not going to help you grow where you are right now? Why are you fighting and fussing about uh, uh, some of the stupidest, arguing with, well, you're a heathen because of this and you're a heathen because of that. But here you are arguing with the heathen, freezing right next to him. What kind of example is that? And as we come into 2023, now we got food shortages. Now we got all this shit happening, and we got inflation. So many people that ran around telling all these people that they're heathens are going to be the same people rowing in the same boat with these so-called heathens. And it shouldn't be that way. We should be aware, we should know, and we should be able to be a light. First that which is natural, then that which is spiritual. We should be a physical light. And once they see that light, they're going to know that there's something inside of us that drove us. And then we can tell, hey, the wisdom is in the Bible. The wisdom is in the Bible. We don't do that. So instead, we suffered right along with them. Freezing, no food, no water, didn't prepare, not warm, and it's sad. Anyways, didn't mean to go on this little mini rant. We have to get our houses together first before we can ever try and help somebody else's house. And hopefully we'll understand that. Bless y'all. Shalom.